So this is my old Ford. It's a work truck, and had it, I don't know, like 6 years, I think. 2015. It got a lot of miles on it. We use this to tow trailers. This seat is really worn. I've stitched it up there. It was torn a bunch of times, and it's stained up. And I'm gonna try to recover it. I bought this seat cover for it, and it's a pretty dang good match. It's not exact, but it's close enough that I think I don't care. They advertise it as a factory OEM seat cover, but I don't think it really is. It came from some company in Texas. But God, it looks really good. It looks like it might be easy to replace. It just has these hooks that seem to hook underneath, and all the way around. This is the back. I think I'll shove the back in first. It's going to tuck up underneath here. This is the passenger side. We'll do it over on the driver's side. It's going to tuck up underneath here. We'll get it attached, and if it in fact works, I'm going to go ahead and order new covers for everything. It wasn't too bad. It was about $160. So we'll check it out and see if it works. So the first thing I realized, in order to get this cover off, I've got to reach down inside of here, which means this plastic piece has to come off. And the first piece I pulled off was this, which is this little button. And I just gently pried it off with a screwdriver, and it's these plastic tabs in here kind of expand over these pieces and fit in there. So I was just real gentle with a screwdriver and got that off. Then the next one was, this is, I think I call it a lumbar support. And I kind of reached in there with a screwdriver and pushed this back and pulled this out, and there's this snap pin that I was able to slide a screwdriver in there, and that was this screwdriver. I was able to slide it in just like this and kind of get behind it and pop it out. And then the next thing was this guy here, and it has the same kind of snap pin that goes on it, this guy right here, and it's set up so the snap pin slides right in there, and you kind of get your screwdriver in behind it. However, when it did come out, it kind of went bink back inside of here, so I'm pretty sure when I pull this plastic off, I'll find it drop down in there. That's all right. So now the last part is out here in the very front of this, down at the bottom of the seat. There's a little place for this Torx screw, and I took that out, and now I'm going to take a few minutes and work this plastic off. I'm sure there's going to be some snaps and things in here, but I think that's going to make it come off. We'll check back in a second. So this piece looks like it's one piece, but it isn't. So this is the next piece that has to come out. And what I found is that it has two snaps up here at the top. They fit in here and here, and you could kind of just get under and pop those up. There's another step that goes right here, which is this one, and you can pry that out with a screwdriver. But the real trick is at the bottom. This goes over that metal tab and really grabs a hold of it with quite a bit of force, and that was just a matter of pulling it back and out. I think probably, yeah, it's going to be easier just to leave it on this metal rod, and then clearly it's going to be easy to unplug this and remove the whole thing away. This is the controls for the electric seat. Okay, so that's the first thing that has to come off, and then when I look down in here, there's some more screws that have to come off to get this out. We'll see what we find next. So there's a screw here, and you can see I'm going to need to get that to get this piece out. That should allow me to get in here. Let's find out. Popping this is out pretty easy. You just got to push down on this tab and pry at the same time. It comes right out of the control here. So this is out of the way. Now I'm going to get it, this Torx screw right here. Oh, that fella's on there pretty tight. So just like there was a little tab on the bar. I've got the same thing right there. That's another tab on the bar, so I'm going to have to just overcome that with force. It looks like I don't see any tab to pull on or anything. This piece comes completely off. It's tight back here, and it turns out that there is another tab in the back. I'll show you. Right here, and this tab was covered up by the old seat cover, but because I'm taking it out, I just cut it with a blade to get at it and opened it up. I won't be able to do that to put it back in, so this obviously has to be put in before the seat cover, because the seat cover comes over it. So the new seat cover is going to fold over that, but I've got to get that Phillips out in order to get this off. This is the last piece, it looks like, that's holding it on right here. So I'm going to go get a Phillips screwdriver and pull that out. It's just a cheesy plastic screw, nothing. It's not even metal, is it? I don't think so. Yeah, it's just plastic. Let's see. That got that. Oh, is there something else in there? Feels like there is. Let's get the little flashlight in there and take a look. There's something in there. Who knows what that is? There it is. It's on the verge of being broken. I don't want to do that if I don't have to. Let's get a screwdriver in there and see what we can do. Definitely something holding in there. I'm going to take a few minutes and look at that. I'm afraid I'm going to end up breaking it. I can't get to anything here. But it's not very user-friendly, I can tell you that much. What are we looking at? But it looks just like a socket that's going over something. It's not wanting to come out. So let's see what we got here. Weird. Whatever it is, it just broke from me prying on it. That's not cool. If I gotta fix it, I will, but yeah, she's broke, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull it on off here. What was it? That's one of these kind of socket fittings. There's the pin I was looking for that fell out off of the seat back adjustment. And this is just like some kind of socket, so I'll show it to you. I didn't save it, I kind of damaged it, but I don't think in the grand scheme of things it's going to affect much. Wow, that is some kind of weird fitting. So there's our pin. Screw went, but this is some kind of weird plastic fitting that just, it's like a socket that looks like it expands over some kind of nub in the seat. I just tore it off. Sorry about that, folks. I'm going to try to go ahead and get it off here so I can understand it. I'm not very smart sometimes. Millimeter's not the sharpest tool in the shed sometimes. Oh, the weird. Okay, so basically what it is, and I think anybody's going to have a hard time getting this out. It is a plastic shaft with a bunch of rings on it that as it goes through the metal in the seat frame, it bites to it. So there is no way to release those plastic barbs, especially as far back as it was. So this is definitely made for assembly and not repair. It's not meant to be serviced. It's not even going to come out very well. Maybe if I grabbed a hold of it with a pair of pliers and pulled, I could strip it out, but I'm going to screw it out. Who knows? Yeah, it's not coming. So it's just it's on the plastic, and it's a barb. All it is a barb that shoves into the metal, and it's not letting me, and the other half of it just broke off and fell in, so it's into the seat. So yeah, it wasn't meant to be rehabilitated in any way. It was simply for the manufacturer. It just popped on there, and there's that I can see. I mean, maybe somebody does a push-through all the time. There's some trick that I don't know, but oh, so it's a screw from inside of here is what it was, and it was screwed in there. So if you knew it was in there, I guess you could reach in and unscrew it. So I didn't know it was in there. I couldn't see it, but it's a screw that's back in behind right there at the end of my fingers. It goes through and it screws into this piece, which I just pried it off. I couldn't see it, didn't realize it. I made a boo-boo. See, I broke it right there, but this piece was going to wrap around and hold it just fine in place, plus all of the clips that are in the piece. There's plenty of clips to hold it, so it'll be all right. Probably be better without that, but it'll be okay, I'm sure. And if it isn't, I will think of something else. This is where this plastic screw goes in, and it expands and holds it in place, and that is associated with that hole right there. All right, so let's go ahead, and I'm going to pull the seat cover off now that I got it everything. This stuff is always more than you expect it's going to be. So here's the clips on this side. That's why I had to get it off, is because those have to come off. I mean, there and there. We'll pull those off. I've got them on the front. I've already got them off. I've got them around on the back. I'll go ahead and take them off, and I think I can pull the whole seat cover off. So as I take this apart, it just keeps getting more and more complex. You see this area around here? It's stitched down. It holds really well. And I was going, well, I wonder how that's going to do in the seat cover. And I saw this bit in the seat cover, and what that does is that snaps down in these little orange clips, and what you have to do is you got to spread them apart to get it off. They're really tight, but that holds down, pops down into those, and that makes this nice kind of stitched part. So it's pretty complex for a seat. No wonder it was 150 bucks. Actually, I thought that was cheap for 150 bucks. So anyway, we'll see. 160 maybe. Down here in the back, you have these metal tabs, and what happens is the seat actually stretches over and around them, and they're on both sides. So in order to get it up, you've got to get that undone. And when you put it, you see I just stretched that off of there. So I was pulling on it in the front. I couldn't get it to come up. It was because those tabs were hooked, so I should be able to take that up and off now. So this is the bottom right side and this tab is where this stretches over. And then right here, the tab's down here, we come up here on the right, is this barb connector, and those things are so hard to get out. Anyway, I'll have to go to the hardware store and get another one of those to replace it. But it goes in right, this is the right back of the seat, and it goes in right at the end of my finger there, through a little hole in the fabric. So there's the old one, it came out. Looks exactly like the new one. And it's the seats here. I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to get these little tabs around that. I'm going to clean this up. You see there's a few spilt cups of coffee in here, I think, over the years. But let's start getting the new one in. So here's the new seat cover. And this blue band needs to go into these orange straps. I think that's going to be a bit of work. I'm not sure how to do it, but I'm going to find out. And I'll share the secret as soon as I figure it out. So these straps are going a little bit easier than I thought. I just started back here in the back, and you get that blue piece over the plastic. You just kind of wiggle it down and you'll feel it snap into place. So it's not that hard. So I got the inner seat, this band right here, clipped into those little clips. It's about what you'd expect. I think the trick there, if there is any, is to put them in one side and then roll them into the other side of that clip. Now I'm just tucking everything back to where I can get the clips that were underneath the seat attached. And this seems to be about what you'd expect it to be, a sort of stretching and pulling. But I do believe the hard part's over, which was this inner clip. That seemed to go pretty well. It wasn't as hard as I imagined it would have been. And by the way, I got to tell you, so far, this seat cover is a really good seat cover. I try to put a link to it. I'm impressed. It's not an exact match in the fabric, but it's so close that at a glance you can't see it. And definitely the quality is the same, and the stitching and everything's exactly what the original was. So I'm going to poke and stretch and pull for a little bit, and then when I get it tight, I'll show you that. But it's mostly what you'd expect. I'm stretching, pulling. It's really taking a nice shape. It seems to be great quality and everything so far. So let's get to the end, and if this turns out well, I'm going to go ahead and buy the back for it. It's a little more expensive, but it'd be nice to have nice new clean seats in here that don't have 6 years of wear on them. So this all snapped right back together just the way it came apart. Now this guy right here has this little clip in it, and this had the same kind of clip, and so I loaded the clip just like I did this one, and then I slid this on, and when you lift this up, there's a little access hole, and you can reach in there and push that clip right into place. That's kind of nice. That's also how you get it apart. It's exactly, you just reached in with a screwdriver and popped it out. Of course it fell down inside of there, but I found it. So I'll put this together and that little switch together, and I'm in great shape. I'll probably put a little oil. These are little pivoting surfaces. And man, we're almost done. So this is complete, and this is a 2015 Ford F-250 four-wheel drive extended cab, and this is a work truck. I work the whole living crazy. Anyway, I work it pretty hard. And this is this aftermarket seat. I just installed it, kind of went through it, and a couple observations. There was this little disaster in the back, not that big of a deal. It's right back here at the back left hand side of the seat, and you have to reach in behind and unbolt it, and I couldn't see it. I didn't know it was there. So you got to kind of get the seat partially off, the seat cover partially off to get at it. But it really didn't make any difference in the rest of this. The rest of this is just fine. And we got everything in the right place. So critique about this, it's 10 out of 10 really. When it comes to the fabric and the quality of the construction, is really good. It's as good as the original. I'm going to go ahead and replace this guy. You can see it's worn. I'm going to call the same company and get this, or I got it off of eBay, and it's pretty dirty and worn. I'm going to replace it. The passenger side's fine. Nobody ever rides over there much. The only thing, and it's more of an observation than a critique, this material isn't stretched as tight as the original is, so you got these little wrinkles in it. I'm pretty sure they're going to come out, but what I am going to do, there was a little funkiness in the fit over here. There's a piece that grabs. I showed it to you on the side. There was a little bit of funkiness there, the way it lined up, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get those traditional ring clips and that bar that it wraps around. I'm just going to put those, I'm going to pull a little tighter and put those ring clips on there, and that'll tighten this up and it'll be as good as new. But man, I couldn't be happier with the fabric, and it's a 99% match to the original. It's just slightly different. It's so similar you don't even notice it, and the color is perfect. And this is a dirty old mess, so I'm going to replace this, and I'm really happy. I couldn't be happier with that. The old Ford has a new seat. That's great.